The lights above the studio seemed brighter than usual, blazing down on the glossy wooden table and capturing every nervous shuffle of the audience as they filed in. There was already a thick anticipation in the air, an electric kind of tension that comes when people know they're about to witness something unpredictable, something that would replay across social media within minutes. Florence Pugh's name had been trending since dawn, and the very idea of her coming face-to-face with Joy Behar after a week of public disagreements had viewers buzzing like bees trapped in sunlight. Backstage, the atmosphere contrasted sharply with the polished shine of the on-camera world. Cables snaked across the floor, producers whispered urgently into their headsets, and stagehands hurried about with small adjustments that only they understood. Florence stood in the middle of it, one foot tapping rhythmically, calm from the outside, but bracing herself inwardly. She stretched her neck gently from side to side, trying to release the pressure that had been building since she'd first heard Joy's comments 5 days earlier. "She's saying your film is, what was it?" her publicist muttered under her breath while scrolling through her phone. "Relentlessly gloomy and theatrically tragic." Florence scoffed, a short, amused breath escaping her nose. "That's generous, honestly. She called it emotionally violent on Tuesday." The publicist winced. "Just stay composed. Don't let her get under your skin." "I don't mind if she gets under my skin," Florence replied, her voice low but steady. "I just won't let her stay there." The producer poked her head around the corner then. "Florence, we're ready for you, and, Joy is definitely, joying today." Florence smirked, slipping her hands into the pockets of her emerald jacket. "Perfect, let's give them a show." As she stepped into the hallway leading to the stage doors, the noise of the audience washed over her like a wave of heat, applause, cheers, murmurs, an audible burst of excitement that made her pulse quicken. She walked through the double doors just as the cameras started rolling, and the audience erupted louder, many rising to their feet. Florence waved, her smile bright and charming, though her eyes stayed razor-focused. She had a job to do today, and it wasn't just promoting a film. It was standing up for her craft. The hosts rose to greet her, well, most of them. Sarah beamed and offered a warm hug. Sunny greeted her with a genuine embrace. Alyssa shook her hand with a courteous professionalism. And then there was Joy. Joy Behar didn't move from her seat. She simply looked up, gave Florence a tight, clipped nod, and continued tapping her stack of notecards with an impatient rhythm. It was enough for Florence to understand exactly what kind of energy Joy intended to bring today. And Florence, lifting her chin slightly, matched it. She took her seat as Whoopi began her introduction. "Florence Pugh is here today to talk about her incredible, deeply emotional new film." "Deeply emotional is one way to put it," Joy interrupted, loud enough for the audience to hear. There was a collective, "Ooh," light but unmistakably entertained. Florence turned her head toward Joy with a small, polite smile, one that didn't reach her eyes. "Hello to you too, Joy." Joy waved her hand dismissively. No, we're glad you're here. We just have questions." Whoopi pressed on, trying to steer the ship. "Florence, welcome. The film is intense, powerful, and..." Joy leaned forward again. "Bleak," she added. "Very bleak." Florence kept her posture relaxed, her hands folded neatly in her lap. "It's an honest story, Joy. And honesty isn't always uplifting." Joy arched an eyebrow, the tension in the room thickening as she shuffled her notecards. "Honest, sure, but audiences want something that doesn't make them leave the theater feeling like they need therapy." Florence let out a soft, controlled breath. "Art isn't obligated to comfort people." "Maybe not," Joy replied, "but it also shouldn't feel like emotional punishment." The audience reacted again, some laughing, others murmuring. Florence shifted slightly in her chair, not backing down but ready, truly ready, to dig deeper into this. Her voice softened but carried more weight. "Joy, people go through painful things every day. Telling those stories isn't punishment. It's recognition, it's compassion." "But why so dark?" Joy persisted, shaking her head. "You're young, talented, and clearly capable of lighter roles. Why choose the ones that look like they drain the life out of you?" Florence's gaze sharpened. "Because stories that confront pain are necessary. Because they push conversations. Because not every character lives in a world of jokes and sunshine. And because, believe it or not, I like exploring emotional depth." The air inside the studio changed the moment the show returned from commercial break. It wasn't visible, but it was palpable, like a storm cloud gathering above the table, darkening the atmosphere while everyone pretended nothing was wrong. Florence sat upright, legs crossed, hands resting lightly on her thigh, but her eyes had hardened into something unshakable. Joy, on the other hand, looked almost energized by the growing tension, as though she'd fed on it during the break and now felt fully charged. Whoopi exhaled quietly, bracing herself. "Okay, we're back," she said with a forced brightness. "We've got Florence Pugh here, and we're talking about her latest film." Joy cut in before the sentence even fully formed. "We're talking about why she thinks making the audience miserable for 2 hours is an accomplishment." A wave of gasps rolled through the crowd. Even the camera operator reacted, shifting slightly to tighten the shot on Florence's face. Florence lifted her chin and gave a soft, incredulous laugh, one that implied she could not believe Joy was diving back in even harder. Whoopi shot Joy a sideways look. "Joy, let's keep this productive." "I am being productive," Joy said, shrugging dramatically. "I'm asking questions the viewers would ask if they were sitting here." Florence leaned in slightly, her elbows still off the table, posture composed but voice carrying an unmistakable edge. "Then maybe the question shouldn't be why the film is emotional, Joy. Maybe the question should be why emotional stories make you uncomfortable." The audience reacted loudly, cheers, applause, a few gasps. Joy's eyes widened, stunned for half a second before her annoyance surged back. "Oh please," Joy snapped. "I'm not uncomfortable. I just appreciate when art doesn't feel like homework." Florence smiled gently, almost sympathetically. "Art isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to reflect life. And sometimes life is heavy." Joy waved her hand. "You say that like it's groundbreaking." Florence kept going, unbothered. "It's not groundbreaking. It's just true. People live through unbearable things every day. Cinema should make space for them." Sunny jumped in, trying to play mediator again. "Joy, the film portrays a very real kind of trauma." Joy held up her palm. "I know trauma, Sunny. I grew up in the wild. I didn't need a movie to remind me." Florence's expression shifted. Something sharper, more resolute entered her voice. "If you know it, then you should understand why telling these stories matters." Joy rolled her eyes. "What matters is giving people something they actually want to watch, not making them need a nap afterward." Florence's jaw tensed, but instead of raising her voice, she lowered it. Her words became slower, more deliberate, and infinitely more powerful. "What if someone watching sees themselves in it? What if it helps them feel understood? What if it makes them feel less alone?" Joy hesitated, only for a breath, only for a fraction of a second. But Florence saw it, saw that brief flicker of recognition. However, the moment passed quickly, and Joy leaned forward again, doubling down. "I still think you could have made the same point without all that bleakness." Florence's face softened, but not with kindness. With disappointment. "You're criticizing a story you don't want to sit with. And that's okay. But don't dismiss the people who relate to it." A hush fell over the room, a sudden and heavy silence. Even the hosts who usually thrived on tension looked unsettled. Alyssa shifted in her chair. Sarah looked down at her hands. Only Whoopi maintained eye contact, giving Florence a small nod of respect. Joy opened her mouth again, but Florence didn't let her continue. "You know what really gets me," Florence said, voice steady, gaze unwavering. "You didn't ask about the performances, or the writing, or the message. You've spent this entire interview dismissing the film because you found it uncomfortable." The audience burst into applause again, louder this time. Joy stiffened, irritated by how easily Florence now controlled the room. "I'm giving my opinion," Joy insisted. Florence nodded once. "And I'm giving mine." "You're not critiquing the film. You're critiquing your feelings about it." Joy scoffed. "You actors always get so precious." Florence cut her off again, no longer willing to let Joy steer the narrative. "Actors work hard to tell the truth, even when it's messy, even when it's dark. That's not being precious. That's being honest." There was a pause, a thick, heavy pause. The kind that swallows the oxygen out of a room. Then Joy said quietly, "You think you're above criticism." Florence blinked slowly. "I don't think I'm above anything. I just won't pretend your criticism is about the film when it's actually about your discomfort." The audience erupted again, not with applause this time, but with stunned murmurs. They could feel the shift. Florence had taken complete control of the exchange, and Joy finally realized it.